And
they're
Pearson
going to
threw in a
see
sim game too. We should mention that too.
Yeah, and he played actually not against the Blue Jays. They played the Marlins like alternate site guys. So they actually did play a game. The stats don't matter because it's literally just about stretching him out. He threw 51 pitches. That's the number that matters. Honestly, he might have we don't know what pitches he was throwing. And some of these like these comeback like rehab stretch him out starts, it's like spring. We talked about it where they'll throw one pitch or two pitches the entire time. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what his stats were. What matters is that he threw 51 pitches. And why that matters is he's going to have at least one more rehab start to try to get him up around 70 something. And with Ryu's glute injury, I think that means he's not going to get that next rehab start to get over 80 so that you bring him back fully stretched out. I think he's going to get one more rehab start and he's in the bigs.
And he might have a Trent Thornton game, which we were talking about not wanting him to do, but that might have to happen.
The only positive is if he gets up to 70-something pitches in his next start, it means hopefully he can be in the 80s in his big league debut. So hopefully he's not throwing 80 in 2 innings, because that would be a problem.
It would not be allowed by our organization.
That's a good point. They would not let him have a 40-pitch inning. There's no fucking chance. Oh God, but like, hopefully Ryu's all right, because that's kind of that's really the big one. You know what I mean? Because like Springer's coming back, and it's, you know what I mean. There's good vibes. The guys are getting back, and if you lose Ryu,
also, should we talk about Romano a bit, because he came back?
He ain't looked right.
Of course,
he hasn't looked right since the finger injury that knocked him out last year. Am I wrong?
No. He's looking a little bit off.
Yeah, he's been too wild. Like, you're going to bring him in high leverage because he's Jordan Romano. He's your guy. And he just wasn't on last game. He hasn't been on all year. And he didn't pitch today. I thought we might see him maybe. But maybe Tuesday he'll have a couple of days off. Hopefully we'll see more. Here's the issue.
Our fucking offense needs to actually have a blowout game so we can get some of these relievers who are struggling low leverage work. Right. Everything's high leverage right now.
Yeah.
Well, and like Dolis looks like he's back. Like it's funny this bullpen how it works. You know what I mean? And we kind of joke around too. Like Dolis has to start every count 0-1 or 1-0, but then it doesn't matter. He seems to get out of it. He's like, he is a human rain delay and he is stress inducing, but he's a good reliever and he is literally one of those dudes you have to tell. Like, who's the last dude that you remember like this actually out of the Jays bullpen?
Jason Fraser.
No, not in terms of taking a long time. Like the guy that comes out that gives you heart palpitations, but if you look at their numbers, is actually like a really good reliever.
Cecil, probably.
That's actually the exact name I was going to go with, Tony. With Brett Cecil, and it's specifically that
game
year.
Winner, Brett Cecil.
No, it was the year. Remember the year he got hot? Actually, it was 2015. The year he got hot, and then he ended up tearing his fucking calf muscle. But he sucked the beginning of that. And like even when he was on that insane scoreless streak where he didn't allow a run from Father's Day to like whatever the hell he finally allowed a run.
Yeah.
For like the first half of that streak, he would come into the game and you just did not trust him in any way, shape, or form. But he was lights out, and I feel like that's Dolis. You know what I mean? Like aside from
we remembered him as a starter too, and we're like, oh, he's not a good starter. We already had a negative impression of him. But then by the end, I remember he was a free agent, and I was banging the table like we need Brett Cecil. And the Cardinals gave him a no-trade clause.
And a lot of money and a 4-year contract, and he was bad.
You know who's hitting his profile now?
I was with Tony on that. Huh?
You know, who? Tyler Chatwood. As soon as he's coming to the pen here, like, I've been pretty impressed. And I was remembering him as the starter, like, oh, fuck, we're going to bring this guy in, and he's going to blow up every game. But he's been good out of the pen.
Phelps has been good out of the pen. Like these guys, like, and we were talking about it, like even Piamps, and I was joking around about Anthony Castro, who's a waiver from the Detroit Lions, but I mean he throws hard and that slider's kind of nasty. He doesn't really know where anything's going. That seems to be a consistent with Anthony Castro is Danny Jansen or Alejandro Kirk will set up somewhere. And that is not generally where they end up when the ball is received. But hey, when you throw upper 90s, like 95 plus, and that slider moves like fucking 4 feet.
That helps.
You can afford to make mistakes sometimes, right?
My guy Ty Tice is gonna have trouble making this bullpen at this rate.
Yeah, he's gonna have
so
issues.
High right now, honestly. If not Ty Tice, one of our other relievers, because Ty Tice is a valued commodity.
They can't actually afford to do that considering all the injuries.
We haven't brought this guy up. I know this is like a bullpen dick sucking fest right now, but Ryan Barucki, guy looks amazing. Like
there are so many now, just Andrew Miller, Ryan Barucki, like the Spider-Man, like the Tobey Maguire, like rubs eyes, puts on glasses, and it's like one pitcher's Andrew Miller.
Or the point at each other one.
That Spider-Man one, or the corporate wants to tell you the difference between these two pitchers, and it's Andrew Miller and Ryan Barucki, and there's no difference between these two pitchers. Like, that's actually what we're starting to see out of Ryan Barucki, and it's incredibly exciting. Like, he came out today, first pitch 98, just fucking ridiculous. That slider is, remember how slurvy and just a bad, not MLB quality pitch that thing was?
Yeah.
Like, he was a 3-pitch finesse lefty starter, and now he's just a dominant blow you away lefty reliever out of the pen who throws upper 90s, almost 100. And actually, hasn't he hit 100? He might have been one of the guys who's also hit 100. And now that fucking slider has been as high as like 92, and it's consistently 87 plus. Like, yeah, that's an arm I'm very excited about. And considering the injuries, I think this is actually the role that best suits Ryan Barucki. It's very exciting.
We've always kind of felt that way about Barucki. Like, even when we put him in the rotation and they were all trying to hype him up, he's our next pitcher in our rotation. But like, watching him pitch, like, we knew in the bullpen as a lefty, like, that's the kind of guy we're missing.
I was kind of excited for him because he seemed like a guy that could miss bats, but he was just hurt all the time. Not miss bats, like, sorry. Yeah. He seemed like a Mark Burley type of guy, the opposite of miss bats, like a pitch to contact, like, just limit damage is kind of what I was trying to get at. Like, limit the really, because he at first he didn't get hit really hard, but the issue was just he was hurt all the goddamn time. So hopefully this reduction in workload and putting him in the bullpen keeps him healthy, because he's a weapon. He really is. You know what I mean? There's no other way to say it, because he's not a lefty specialist. So he can come out and get righties.
Yeah, exactly.